Very, very welcome to this webinar session that we have today. My name is Louise. I will be moderating this webinar. I am the CEO of Interspectral, and Interspectral is the company behind this webinar series that we have. This is our 11th session that we run in this webinar series, and today we are we're hosted by, or we have guests with us from the German Röntgen Museum, the German X-ray Museum. In German, it says Deutsches Röntgen-Museum, and this is the actual X-ray museum that we're going to get acquainted with today, and we're going to meet Birgit and Anna that will introduce themselves and their museum in just a little while. I wanted to introduce, first of all, to present the agenda, what we're going to do today. So it's a very short introduction, and then I'm going to hand over to Birgit and Anna to take over and to give us a tour of the museum, and also to tell us about what they are working with, how they work, and of course, to show us around and talk about the situation now during the pandemic. I really hope that you'll find this inspirational, and that this is going to give you some good insights and thoughts on how to work and how to be inspired during these, well, very strange times, so to speak. In the end, I hope that we will have a discussion, or at least a Q&A session. If you have any questions, just please write them down in the chat. And we will try to pick them up and answer them either as we go, or we will pick them up again in the end of this session, and we'll have them answered before we say goodbye to each other. Before I hand over to Birgit and Anna, I would just very shortly like to introduce Interspectral. And we are a company that is based here in Sweden. We have about 100 customers in more than 30 countries all over the world. And we work with 3D visualizations for interactive insights, or insights using interactives, I'd rather say. What that means is that we take 3D data from multiple sources and we turn them into exhibitions or educational material that allows the user to analyze, kind of dissect, and peel off layer by layer to look at the invisible inside of an object or an item. And this is how we are so tightly connected to X-ray, because it's the core of our business. And that also makes us very proud, especially proud to have the X-ray Museum with us as one of our customers, and especially to learn more about this fantastic technology that was not just fantastic back in the mid-19th century, but still is, and is developing a lot as we go today. So the webinar series that we have as well, this is something that we started out with about a year ago during the pandemic. I mean, we have just needed to find new solutions and ways to reach out to the customers and to reach out to potential customers and museums and science centers all over the world. I believe that everyone here today with me can agree on the fact that we need to find new ways and solutions, and that everyone is fighting very hard to reach out using, well, new kinds of technologies. So this webinar series that we started with, and this is the 11th session that we have today, it all comes from the fact that we want to show what our customers do. And how they work with digitization and digitalization in their venues. So necessarily the webinars are not about our products and our ways of working or our collaborations, but just to give you as a viewer the possibility and potential to see or to see the potential in what you can do using this kind of technology, any kind of technology during these times. And afterwards as well, of course. All the webinars are available for on demand. You can find them on our website, which is interspectral.com. Very easy to download, and we have a couple of more sessions to run this year together with other customers and well, potential both potential and partners as well that we work with. So just stay tuned on our website and sign up for our newsletter to get the latest news on what's happening. That is actually enough from me, and I would like to hand over to Birgit and Anna in Germany to take over the microphone and the lead and to show us around.
Hi.
There you are. Well, I'm going to mute myself now, and everyone watching, please, I hope you're going to have a good time. Ask your questions in the chat function or the Q&A function. You can do both of that. And yes, I'm going to be quiet now. So Anna and Birgit, please take it away.
So hello everybody, we'd like to welcome you here in Dömling, the birthplace of Wilhelm Röntgen. 126 years, 176 years ago. And my name is Dömling. I'm the vice director here at the museum, and I'm in charge of collection and pedagogical I'm sorry, part of the museum. And so that's where Anna and I work very closely together.
My name is Kätker. I'm responsible for our student lab, RöLab, and that you will see later on. And I think we can start with our tour.
We will start with our tour, and I have to say, this is our first time where we do a live tour in the museum and in the students lab. And as you can see, we have a little bit of technical problems in the beginning, but I hope this will become better, and especially it's the first tour in English. And we haven't spoken for a long time, so our English might be a little bit rusty, and maybe you can help us out someday in some places. We'll see. So Anna is grabbing the stick and walk into the museum.
Before you get going and give us the tour, would you like to tell us a little bit about the situation as it is right now for you, if you're open or closed, and or how has it been throughout the past year?
Well, it's pretty difficult, to be honest. We had planned last year, it was kind of the X-ray year 2020. Wilhelm Röntgen it was his 175th birthday, and we have planned a lot of things. And 2 weeks before this should have happened, we had to close the museum for about 9 weeks. So we were really kind of shocked at the first moment, but what can you do? I mean, it's a tragic situation right now, and we are in the situation for already 1 year. And the last 4 months, I think, we were closed too. And before Easter, 2 weeks before the Easter vacation, the ministry decided to open schools and the magazines again, which ended up in a new lockdown right now. So we have the situation here in Remscheid that the incidences are very, very high, more than 250, I was told today. And we're waiting for the new rules to come.
All right, then we head on to our showroom.
So we start in our showroom archive, where we have historical objects and opposite to the modern application of X-ray technology in the 20th century. And I have to say that Wilhelm Röntgen already set up the applications. So he made X-rays of this, one of his weapons, which you can see here. I don't think much show maybe. And the medical part of X-ray technology. So you can examine technical objects if they are correct and build up perfectly, and the medical part, which I will show you later. So we might start with a tour through the museum. Here we have the most important vision right now, because this is drug development, which is very, very important. You know that all the laboratories around the world are looking for vaccination and virus staticum. And what you need to examine the proteins which are supposed to be built up and the structure of the virus, you need to have synchrotron radiation. There are a few synchrotron radiation stations in Europe, and to say so, I just looked it up. There's one in Sweden as well. It's in Lund. With these X-ray structures, you can, with computer technology, have make pictures like Anna had shown right now already here, which are very colorful, and then you can see the structure and develop the right medication. Another modern application is the look into mummies. Or into art. There was one online examination of Rembrandt's Night Watch last year. It's the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam has sent it online what they did to restore this Night Watch very famous picture, and one of the part was X-ray examination. Here, for example, this is a very funny thing. It's a periscope, which was which was part of magazines where you could buy shoes. So they were watching. I can show you because I'm a member of the museum how this works. You have to put your feet into this, and so mother and the seller could watch if the shoe fits. And and it's not protected. At that point, they didn't even know that X-ray was dangerous, although there already were laws to protect people. But in the beginning, people were very unafraid, depending on X-rays. So it took I think it was in the 70s where they stopped having those periscopes in the magazine. And further on, we have a huge collection of X-ray tubes. In our museum, we have just some of those on display. I think our collection is around 700 X-ray tubes. And I have to say, this is the centerpiece of an X-ray examination setup. The one up there was one of those where Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen has used in his experiments. It's a very simple. It's a very simple glass tube, and the interesting thing is that Laszlo's developed a technique to blow glass like these tubes and combine it with metal, and the tubes are under vacuum. So that was a very interesting technique, and it was about Röntgen's birth year in the 1850s. The other thing you need to produce X-rays is a high voltage generator and a vacuum pump, which sets up these bulbs into vacuum. So in these glass tubes, you have a cathode and an anode. On at the ending of the anode, there the X-rays are produced. And I think Anna will tell you a little bit more upstairs, because we have students X-ray devices where we can show you live how X-rays produced, and we can show you some things and have a little riddle maybe. So now we go on to some historical objects. This, for example, is one of the very soon developed mobile X-ray machines, and it's due to the fact that Röntgen didn't ask for a patent for his detection of X-rays, that everybody was working on X-rays, and so there was a very, very quick development. In the First World War, Marie Curie collected money to set up little vans, and so she had mobile devices to teach the physicists, the physicians, which were in the war, how to use it. And that was for the soldiers a little bit of a relief, because they didn't have these huge operations anymore. It was just safer. So just 20 years after the X-ray were detected. Anna, you might show a little bit further on. This is one of the mobile machines in the Second World War. And now we go on further to the first CT. This is the first CT developed by Sir Hansfield in the 1970s. And as you can see, it was only built to make a scan of the head. And there was a young woman who was scanned. The scan lasted, I think, around 5 minutes. The data needed to be transformed took another 2.5 hours to get a picture like this one. And as you can see, it's pretty good to see that there is a lesion in the brain.
And you said that this was in the 70s, right?
1972, yes.
1972. That's not, I mean, it's not that many years ago. A lot of things has happened with CT equipment and I mean, ways of using CT today.
Yeah, the technology is very close correlated to the development of computer science. I mean, it can only be so quick with recovering the data and developing. No, wait a second. Transforming the data you have taken, and you need a huge machinery to work it out as a picture, to have a scan, which is easy to see. Is that clear, or is it?
I think it's clear. Yeah, but I mean, looking at you in your museum today, you have all kinds of equipment, and you can show the progress of X-ray from very early stages all the way to modern days. Even the 70s, I would say, is modern days, but still. What would you say, with the knowledge and what you know today, what do you think will happen with X-ray going forward into the future? How will we use it, for example?
Well, I think it's still a good detection method in medicine, and I think the development is to work with the data you receive. And artificial intelligence will probably help the radiologists all over the world to get this data handled. I mean, you have to view all this stuff, and probably artificial intelligence is very, very helpful.
Do you think that, I mean, this is just us talking. I know that maybe you don't have the answer to the question. So, but do you think that we will ever come down to like really small devices for advanced diagnosis, for example? I mean, the CT scanner is still quite big.
I'm not a physicist, so it's hard for me to tell. But the problem is, if you want to have a good solution of picture pixels and stuff, you always need detectors, and the more detectors you have, the better is the picture. But you need space for these detectors, and you still need in this machine somewhere X-ray tubes. Anna wants to say something.
Yeah, maybe. Well, you need a special geometry for CT scan, and I can show you that later on in the lab. So you always have this problem with space, because you need the X-ray tube and the detector rotating around the patient, and you cannot really change this. So this principle is right at the basic and will never really change. Only the detectors get better and better, so you can minimize the exposure time and minimize the radiation the patient is receiving. So it's a safe him, but yeah, I think the geometry will keep on like that.
Maybe we're just going to go the other way around. Instead of thinking small, we might need to think really big.
There exist things like that. You have boxes where you can make CT scans or just radiographies and examine cars, vans. These are huge containers.
Yeah.
X-ray containers.
They need to be.
But you wouldn't put an elephant probably into this, because the radiation exposure might be a little bit too high.
Yeah, well, maybe that's the limitation then. Well, I'm not going to interrupt anymore. That was just a question.
No, it's perfect. This is normally you have a tour. If you give a tour, you have people in front of you, and you can see the reaction. And the only thing I see is Anna behind the smile. Hi. I cannot even see the participants, so it's a very strange situation, and yeah, we need to get used to it, because I think it's a good way to reach people all over the world. And we need to get in the digital contact much more.
Yeah, yeah. So that is also another question. I mean, maybe this is something that we can talk more about in the end, but now I mean, you're in the same situation where you're in kind of like in a lockdown. You're not allowed to have visitors coming to your venue. It's a huge uncertainty. You don't even know what's going to happen on Monday. I mean, the situation is very chaotic in that way. So how can you use technology or use the knowledge and competence you have today to reach out to schools, to reach out to visitors in Germany to come and take part of your collections and learn more about X-ray as it is today?
The place where we started, that was actually, I wanted to say something at the beginning, but I completely forgot. You saw these black and white pictures. That was an exhibition which we opened digital in November to celebrate the 125th day of the detection of X-rays. And we just filmed it, even the setup, and put it online in our YouTube channel. So we really are forced to develop digital offers to our virtual visitors. So we get better and better, but there's a lot of things we have to develop. So we just packed packages, we will show you later in the lab, for a digital workshop where we invite normally girls at the age of 13, 14 to come to our lab and make a little workshop, experiments in our lab to introduce the world of physics and medicine and related professions to them, and to get them into this field of what is called in German MINT. It's mathematics, informatics, science, and technique. So this year we will do a Zoom workshop next week, and we are very excited to. Does it work? Will the kids work with it? We have packed up. No, it's better to show it in the lab. So maybe we just walk up there and show you what we've packed up for the Girls' Day.
Yes, it sounds like a good plan.
Okay, let's do so.
Take us there.
So this is the boring part, walking up the stairs, have a look at our...
So we make a quick handover now.
Okay.
Hi.
Now it's Anna's part. I'm out.
Yeah, welcome to our student lab. It's called RöLab. It's short for Röntgen Laboratory, as you might have guessed. And yeah, well, our main aim or ambition is to convey a certain fascination of natural science for young students, and to support the curiosity which goes along with it. And yeah, well, we have a wide range of different experimental workshops we are offering to schools mainly, but also some workshops for adults or people in training. And yeah, and I will show you, I'll give you a short insight into some of these workshops and experimental setups.
So how many school kids or students do you normally have in the lab every year?
Oh, every year. Oh, I don't know the exact.
I think it's around 3,000. It was so far, but we have to admit that Anna is here since 1 year, and the numbers climbed already, but now we're cut off again.
Yeah, it's not a normal year, Anna. Your first year.
Yes, it has been kind of disappointing, but we are working on it, and we are developing new projects like Birgit just told you, and maybe we just start with the Girls' Day. So yeah, we made up these little packages for the girls. This is an annual event for young girls to take part in it, and yeah, well, it is to give them an insight into jobs or subject areas which are normally not supposed to be or not thought to be for girls, like physics, for example. And so we have a little electricity workshop. That's really funny. We've got some ultraviolet, a little ultraviolet lamp. We got some like a little escape game, and we've hidden some secret messages. I'm not sure if
I
you
hope
can...
the girls don't watch.
Oh, I hope you can see it on the
We
camera.
can see it.
Yeah, that's so a lot of hidden messages. Yeah. Yes, and we really hope it works and that the girls will have fun and yeah, maybe start.
We can.
And that was especially developed for girls, you said? Is that
Well, actually, it's called Boys and Girls Day, so they can go to manufacturers or whatever they want to see, or labs where people offer these things, workshops. And for this part, for science and stuff, we decided it's better to do Girls' Day.
Okay.
Because we have a focus in natural science. Normally, kind of assume that girls don't like natural science. It's not true, of course. Yeah, we want to change it.
Yeah, hopefully one day. So where do you want to have next?
I show you. Just follow me.
I'll follow you.
Yeah, that is another of our outreach projects. So if students cannot come to visit us in our lab, we have these new cases these are quite new, so they haven't been out yet. But schools can borrow them, and they are full of physics basics experiments. Yeah, this is, for example, electrodynamics, but we have, we have a lot of topics like vacuum and acoustic waves. So also a lot of basics which you have to know to understand later on the X-ray techniques, for example. But this is just for having fun, developing fun, and experimenting, and having a fascination for natural science phenomena. This is for rather younger students. And now we go on, and I show you another experimental setup. This is our workshop for radioactivity. And here we have, I'm not sure if you can hear it. Maybe we can move it.
Can you hear the sound, Luisa?
Yeah, I can hear a small tick.
Yeah, this tick is from our Geiger-Müller counter tube. You can see it here. That one. And well, yes, the students can examine different materials, mainly everyday materials like different kind of salts, like potassium chloride, for example. And now you hear the ticks go on a bit more. Yeah, and well, yes, also fertilizer, for example. Sometimes in really cheap fertilizer, there are really small amounts of uranium. We have uranium glass, for example. Now the ticking is going on really fast.
Yes.
And yeah, we also have minerals. So with this setup, the students can find out whether the material is radioactive. That's also uranium 238, but it's specially made for schools, so it's really safe to use. That's the main focus in our lab, because the students should, in the best way, they should mostly work on their own and experiment on their own. So to develop fun. And it was also Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen's own motto. He said, I'm only feeling comfortable when I'm experimenting. We would like to transport this to the students.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Here she is again.
Still in training, yeah. Yeah, well, so with this setup, the students can find out whether the material is radioactive, and we can go one step further. And these are our scintillation detectors. And with them, you can determine the precise materials or atoms which are radioactive. For example, if there's uranium or radium in some, even in some food. Like example, I think it's called Brazil nuts. I'm not sure if you know them. There are small amounts of radium inside, which we can detect with these scintillation detectors.
Those are my favorite nuts. So it's
You shouldn't eat a whole box of it.
Yeah, don't eat too much of these.
Okay, I will. Yes, I will stop doing that.
One or two isn't bad.
Okay.
You will survive, but yeah, and even in dried up mushrooms, there can be traces of cesium, for example. These are safe. I controlled them, so. All right, then we go on. Well, our workshops are mainly about medical technology, X-ray, of course, and also ultrasound.
Oh, wait, I have difficulties with the stick. Oh, wrong way. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, ultrasound is another topic of our workshops. And we have yes, we have these big clinic devices. So this ultrasound scanner. Can you see it?
Not yet.
Like you probably know it from the physicians or from the hospitals, and we have various medical phantoms. Like this is a breast with 2 different tumors, which you can, which the students can examine with ultrasound. We also have a whole torso with inner organs. Yes, and we also have these smaller ultrasound devices for training. So to get to learn the basics, how is a ultrasonic image generated? Because you send an ultrasonic wave into a material and it gets reflected at certain interlayers. And the running time is then measured, and from that you can transform these information then into an ultrasonic image. Yeah. Okay, then we head on to the heart of our lab, called Röntgen Laboratory, and of course it's our X-ray devices, and these are built especially for schools, so they are very secure and really safe to use for students on their own. So no radiation can exit from these units. And I will show you now a quick look into the tube. I can switch it on here. And this is the X-ray tube. You can see a light in a second.
Yeah.
Yes, and there now, in exactly this moment, X-rays are generated. So you have the cathode and the anode, and between those two, the electrons are accelerated. And when they then bump or collide with the anode material, and then they are stopped into in matter, they X-rays are generated. And with this special experimental setup, we can do little CT scans, and that was what I was talking about earlier downstairs. Here we have a small object which rotates, and we have on the one hand we have the X-ray source, on the other hand we have the detector, and the object is rotating. And in the bigger CTs, which you know from hospital or for the humans, where the patient of course is stable, you cannot rotate the patient, and therefore the source and the detector is rotating around the patient.
Yeah.
So you always have to have this geometry, the one way or the other way around. And I will show. Earlier I already scanned an object, and I'm not sure. I think you have to go closer. Closer. I'm not sure. Maybe this is a nice riddle as well. Can you guess what kind of object this might be?
It looks like a frog.
Yeah, correct.
Oh,
wait a moment. Here it is. Yeah, that's a 3D model. So we have a really, really tiny frog inside this yellow egg. And we did a CT scan. Yeah, later on you can have a whole 3D model.
And the equipment that you have today, is it also connected to some kind of 3D print or anything that would allow the
Not yet. Not yet, but we wish one day that we can connect it, so that would be really cool.
Yeah.
To scan it and then to print it out directly. That might be our next exhibit or goal. All right, then we head on to our other. Is there still time left, or yes? Right. This is a rather classic device. So, like you probably know it from the physicians. Again, the unit is the same, only the experimental setup is slightly different. So again, you have this X-ray tube here, where the X-rays are generated. And the difference is that you now have not a detector, which is coupled to a computer, but you have these reusable films. Well, yes, we can do I don't know, like over 1,000 images with these films.
Mhm.
And we put our object between the source and the film
Mhm.
and expose it to the X-rays for just a second. The difficulty here is that the students have to adjust the high voltage, which is between the cathode and the anode.
Mhm.
So this determines the energy of the X-rays. And well, depending on the density of the material, for example, you have to adjust this, the high voltage to get the perfect image. And I just show you how it's working. This doesn't take long. Now you should see the light in the. So the exposure time is really just 1 second. And then we can kind of read this film with our laser scanner. And just have to put it in like here, and it's moved along this kind of pillar, and then we slowly see the image arriving at the computer.
Mhm.
Yeah, up here. And maybe I'm not sure if the audience is still with us, but maybe they can have a guess what this might be. But I think it's really simple. We should have taken another object.
It is very small.
Yeah, it's getting bigger in a second. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
That's a live experiment. So
Mm.
yeah, and that's the second more. Now it's coming.
Oh, it looks like another frog.
Yeah, it's now it's up. So I should have chosen something more exciting.
Like yesterday.
But I can show you what kind of objects we've got for X-ray.
Mm.
So this is the frog you've just seen,
Mm.
and we got a lot of other objects from biology, like a fish, a crab, and also this bat, for example. So, and you really have to experiment on different variables to get the perfect X-ray image.
Yeah.
And that is the same like the physicians.
Mm.
Yeah, and you see that the current situation in our lab is a bit chaotic because we are not allowed to welcome students at the moment. So the space up here is reused, kind of reused.
Yeah, we rearranged it for a photo lab for our collection because we are bringing it up to a modern state. We have a lot of objects which are very, very new. And for example, the exhibition which you've seen in the background at the beginning were the glass plates of Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen himself. We have them in our basement, to be honest. It's not the perfect way to keep glass plates, and we are looking for a sponsor for climate rooms to just keep them up, but they're in a very, very good shape. It's unbelievable, although they are already 100 years old. And these, where you can see here, these are protection leather clothing with lead. And much more modern stuff. These are contrast agents for CT and MRI. And this is something old. Okay, which is I think, yeah, that's enough. And so we take pictures upstairs here because here's so much space. We are not too close together, and we can, yeah, publish it on, if you want to have a look at our archive collection at Museum Digital. It's called. I don't know if it's already in English, but we publish there week by week more stuff which we have already categorized and yeah, I don't know. Categorized? Is that correct? Yeah, as I said, we are a little bit rusty in our English. We do not talk so much anymore. It's very bad.
I mean, in normal cases, do you have many international visitors as well?
Yes, we do.
I can take it that many come to see the birthplace of Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen. I mean, he was quite a fascinating man, and his discovery was amazing. So I can take it that you have at least, well, I wouldn't say how many, but that you should have some tourists coming, and that are also curious about the museum, of course.
I would say they are coming from much more from far away than from the city itself, except for the students, of course. They are from this region here, which is called Bergisches Land. Yeah, so the students are much more from here, but we have also students who charter a bus and come from cities which are 3 hours away.
Okay. That's
okay.
I mean, so, it's not that common to have schools traveling that far for that kind of visits. Let's see, can you turn your camera around so we can see both of you?
Yeah,
I just try. Yeah.
That's very good. So, well, thank you very much for showing us, and thank you very much for taking us around the museum and the tour and showing us your experiments. I know, since we work a lot with different kinds of X-ray and different kind of 3D data, I know that there is so much that you can do with it. I can also see in the list of attendees here today that many are customers of Interspectrals as well, like you are, and that use our visualizations or other kinds of visualizations to exhibit their own objects or items. You bought our Corona exhibition.
We did.
Yes, you did.
And we are very happy to have the second touch table of Interspectral. And it's really fantastic, but they are not running right now because they are programmed to run when there are visitors.
Yes. Which is an issue, of course. I realize that, but I mean, you decided to invest in a new exhibition during the pandemic. I mean, that's also quite brave, I would say. Can you tell us just a little bit about how you thought and why you came down to that decision?
Well, this is a kind of field where people do not really know a lot about viruses and what is a pandemic. And since we wanted just to take away the fear of diseases, and you have to
we will have to deal with this this disease, sorry, for quite a long time.
Well, it won't go away anymore, so we have to deal with it, and the more you know about it, the better you can react to what is necessary to protect yourself, to protect others. And we want to show the development, and so we have, in addition to your touch table, which is really great, a lecture of a physician who really explains in words again why is it so important and what is it for and why do you use CT scans, for example, sometimes if you are in intensive care, a CT is much faster. It's done in 9-10 minutes than a PCR test if you want to know if the patient has corona or not.
Yeah. Mm. Which is fascinating in itself, and especially, I mean, given the fact that the virus is still very unknown. I know we collaborate. One of the patient that is in the Corona exhibition. For you visitors here that don't know about the Corona exhibition, it is a brand new exhibition that we released last year, and that we have produced together with a number of treating medicals, virologists, and researchers around the world. In that exhibition, we have a patient, and you can follow his Corona outbreak, his COVID disease in 4 different stages. Unfortunately, the patient passed away before he was going to have his follow-up scan in January. He fully recovered, and then he passed away 6 months after his recovery. His treating doctor told me that that was just another evidence of this disease being a huge mystery to everyone.
But he really passed away of corona, or was it something different or in addition?
No, it was side effects, I would say, because at least what Dr. Altair told me is that since, I mean, when you get a severe COVID infection, your entire immune system is being focused on healing that, like it's a strange virus, and the body doesn't know what to do with it. So your entire immune system is focused on trying to heal that, which means that the rest of the organs in the body is fairly unprotected for quite some time. Plus that this man also suffered from, I mean, he was intubated. He could not breathe by himself for quite some time. And that also has effects on organs and well, a lot of internal issues appeared afterwards. But he was fully recovered, and he was back on track for almost 6 months before he passed away. But it was all because of side effects because of his previous COVID infection.
So these were secondary side effects.
Secondary side effects, exactly. But I mean, this is how to me, this is just another very clear sign of how science communication can fill a very important need, especially when it comes to this kind of information and telling a story about this disease in another way. You can't deny X-ray. You can't deny what you see in that kind of images. And in a world where we're still being fed with a lot of fake news, I think it's super important that everyone working within the science communication field, we all have a mission to communicate and show a real story. Just, I mean, it's an honest story to just inform, not frighten.
It's very interesting because the few visitors we had when we reopened in March, the exhibition is for free, so you can enter the museum and just watch this Corona exhibition. And the few visitors we had all said, well, we are so tired of this Corona, I can't hear it anymore, but they walked into and informed themselves. And yeah, I think it's a good way to inform and not only use newspaper.
Yeah, I agree. And since it's a very, I mean, it's intuitive, and working with interactives it gives you the possibility by, I mean, using your hands. It's very tactile. It's very easy to understand how to work with it. And it also gives you, regardless, it doesn't necessarily need to be our application. It can be any kind of visualization where you can use it for interaction and take a deeper look at what's on the inside. I mean, it's a very important and very simple way to gain new knowledge and information.
Yeah, and it's very, I really love your touch tables, to be honest.
I'm happy to hear that.
The first one we got was all about human insights and the animal part. And we have a colleague, she's veterinarian.
She's a vet, yeah.
She's a vet. Oh, that's shorter, better. And she explained us on these CT scans and what you can see much better than yeah. And since you can scale it up, your pictures, it's perfect. You can look into the bones of birds and yeah.
Well, you've done a fantastic job, and the time is actually about to run out for this webinar. So thank you very much, Birgit and Anna, for joining us today and for doing this, for giving us a perfect tour of your museum and telling us about what you do. If any one of you that is attending is interested in learning more, feel free to reach out to us. I can point you over to Birgit and Anna.
Louisa, you will send them to us. We just gave really a short impression of our museum. Our museum is much larger, but yeah, I think it's not so much fun to walk through the floors, longer floors, but we wanted just to give you an impression of our museum. But if somebody's interested, just mail us, give us a call, and we will organize a tour in English as well. And I guess the one is more in perfect English than we are right now.
Well, that sounds good. So excellent. Well, thank you very much, both of you. This was very appreciated. And yeah.
Thanks for everybody to join us today. And we would like to see you in our museum one day.
We'll be happy to visit you as soon as you open up. And good luck with everything. I really hope that you get to open up on Monday.
The same to all of you.
Yes, the same to all of you.